Alright, welcome back. This is part 2 of Java CPU HashDog. I'm pasta coding, and I'm going to be teaching you how to do this. So, we left off last time with our program being you could enter in the hash type, in our primary example, MD5, and you enter a string you want to be hashed, and it'll output the hash. And that's all cool and dandy, but that's not what we came here to do. And so, we're going to get rid of these couple of lines of code right here, and we are going to add the bulk of our stuff here, and we're just going to say break hash and pass in our hash. Now, of course, this method hasn't been created yet, so kind of need to create it. And of course that input should be a byte array, but it's not, it's a string. Is that how I want it? Yeah, I can keep it that way. Just go string hash. And now here we need a list of characters. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to I already had this pulled up, so I wouldn't have to type it out. I'm going to cut this over here, and we're going to have our characters array. And then we are going to create a character array representing a string called password, and that will equal a new char array with the PSW length, and we are going to define that in a little bit. So at the moment, yeah, we're going to define this password length later, but it's just going to represent how long our password can be. And so put a little semicolon at the end of that and create a terrible while true loop. Of course, in theory you should never do a while true loop, but you know what, we're going to do it. So I'm going to create a variable here. I'm just going to call it int hash count. And I'll just initialize it. And so every iteration of this, I'm going to say hash count plus plus. So just increment it. And then I'm going to say password equals increment string password and our characters array, and I'm going to then take that and say to char array. So that right there is going to a method we're going to create. It's going to return a string, and based on the current password and the characters that we have, why did I call that chars temp? I'm going to get rid of that temp and just call that chars. And yeah, that's how we're going to do it. So now, if our hash dot equals for hash equals util dot convert to hex string md dot digest our new string based on the password, and then trimming that, and then should be, so that's that dot get bytes. Okay, I think this should work. Is it not? That shouldn't be a byte. Oh, nope. Okay, so that needs to be on the one more outs. Let's see. I'm actually gonna straight up get rid of this, and I'm going to rewrite it out better. So first of all, we have our, so we're going to take, so let's create a string, call it temp, and that's going to be equal to a new string based on the password, except we're going to trim it. So that's just, trim is just a method in under string that allows you to get rid of any excess white space either at the beginning or at the end. So yeah, I'm going to do that, and then from there, we're going to say that we're going to, from there, I think I can handle this, and it'll be explainable easy. Hash dot equals. We're going to see if it equals a util dot convert text string, and then we're going to digest our temp dot get bytes. And of course, it's an if statement, so I don't want that. But here is where we would output that we have found it, and we would return here. So let's go in the system.out.println and simply output that our let's go and output new string based on password. Do I even have to do that? That password. Yeah, okay, that works. That password. But I want to trim it. I'm going to trim it. Okay, I'm sorry. So our new string based on the password, and then trim it. Again, we're parsing it. We're creating a string around it so that we can trim it. And then from that, we're going to add equals equals, add some spacing around it, and say plus hash, so that it says that it equals the hash. And then from there we're going to return. And yeah, that's good. I'm going to capitalize that because that's how it should be. Okay, at this point I'm going to create this public static int PSW length, and I'm just going to set that equal to 8. So our max password length is going to be 8. And I'm going to create our increment string method now. So let's just type that out. Of course, that takes in a, well, that's going to take in 2 characters array. Of course, I'm stupid, so I typed that in when I shouldn't, but you guys get the gist, right? Okay, so increment string method should be kind of interesting, and for this I'm just going to copy it in and I'm going to explain it from there. So that's that, and of course this needs to return a string, and let's go and recall this password, and let's go ahead and say, let's call that Charles array, and then I think I can do that. Maybe not. No, I need it. Okay, so let's see if that works. Does it? It might. equals new array list, give it char, and yeah. So no, it does not. How about I go character? For those of you that don't know, there should always be a setup around it, if that makes sense. So like for the int, there's the actual integer class. Originally this was meant to work with an array list, but you know what? Who cares? Let's change it up. So I'm gonna have to change a little bit, but that's no problem. Let's just call chars dot. Changing it back. Chars dot length. Yep. Of course, that's a variable, and then I don't understand why that's like that, but that's fine. I should just be able to pass that in. Of course, that's not a method we've created yet. And then that's why I did that. Fudge. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm going to create a chars array list. So public array list, and I name it static. Public static array list, and initialize that as having to be a character. Otherwise, I'm honestly not sure how you say that. But yeah, as having to be a character, and call it chars, and put your end bracket around that, and then you have it there. And it says that it should be that. Oh, my bad. Can I actually do that? Is that a thing that works? No, I didn't think so. Okay, so I'll just pull out chars temp, because from here we are going to change it over and put all of the characters into the array list. And from here, theoretically, if you were using something like C++, you would get rid of this whole array now. But we have Java, so we're not going to bother with that. But yes, just Control-Shift-F, format everything nice and neat and dandy, and yeah, so... Sorry, is that spelled wrong? Yes, okay. What's the error now? So that it's not a picture. That makes sense, because I have to say that this is a array list. Because it is, of course. And then here, I'm going to most of this will remain the same, but a little bit of changing on this. Okay, 1 second here. So, yep, that can just be that, and here incompatible operands types char an object. So this is set up to be a char and this is an object because this was not set up to be a character only. But if I do that, that should get rid of that problem. And now we can go on to the creating of that one. And so we come to it. Here, again, I have all of it pre-typed out. And I'm just going to explain it. So we have our password that gets passed in, and at the I index, the index passed in, so in this case 0, normally, almost always. Alright, let's actually start up with increment string. That should be easier to start with. So we have our array of characters that represent the password, right? If the first character equals the last possible character, so I'm going to bring up Notepad plus, not Notepad, but more of a, I'm sorry, Paint.net. What am I doing? Let's bring up Paint.net. So what I'm saying is that, let's say I have, just go ahead and bring this down and go half and half. So in the case here, it's saying, so we have our word, our array, so a couple of boxes, right? And inside of these boxes can obviously be stored values. And this one, the first one, if its value is a z in our case, because characters, if you get the last character, it's going to be a z, because we of course have our characters in order. So it's going to be a z. If it equals a z, that means that you want to increment that index. Okay? And so you increment the 0th index of password. And that makes it, that basically that goes down here then and says, okay, if it equals that z, and for some reason it's coded in as being z and not the last character, which I should change here. Chars.get chars.size -1. So now that's properly trotted in. So if it is the last one, it goes down here. And then it says okay, and it checks to make sure it's a z, because it just needs to, trust me. And then it returns, based on that, the increment, so it's kind of recursive in that form, of this password plus with that character set, and then I plus 1. So so I is of course our index there. So going over to the next one and incrementing that, and then incrementing this to an A. So if this is a Z, it'll pop over to here and increment that to the first character that it needs to increment to. Say it's an A, it'll increment to a B, right? And then this guy over here will just, that's not there anymore, okay? That's not there. This guy will be transformed into an A, okay? And then from there, it'll go on, this won't be true, so it'll increment at the plus position to make sure that it's farthest to the right. If I just show this in action, this should hopefully explain it well. 5, enter. hash h. Okay, so it went by way too fast. Alright, let's set our password length to like 2, so I can see everything nice and dandy. MD5 HG, and it ended up getting to an index way out of bounds exception, because yeah. So if you see here, it starts at an A and goes through all of them, right? And then goes to a Z, and then that Z gets transformed to an A and tells the buddy to its right to increment. From there, it goes back again and does the same thing, the left-hand side, going through all of its options, getting down to that Z. And then it tells its right-hand buddy to increment and resets itself. And it continues doing that forever until it finds the proper hash, and ends up resulting in a brute force attack method. The code here is really kind of weird, and it's hard to understand. But if you really put some time into thinking about it and remembering it, I'm confident that you can get it and understand it. So now our primary system is set up, right? It goes in here, it increments all the letters. If it's a Z, it increments its buddy to the next one. And for example, down here, if I increment this to a 3, so that we can see it, that it's not just working in 2, and then run that. Just enter an MD5 so it's happy and anything. We can see here that, let's go up to all the way up here. So, alright, this guy gets to a Z, then it increments that buddy. And this G ends up getting incremented to an H, then an I, then a J, then a K, then an L, and it'll continue on. I don't think you want me to say them all the way down until it finally gets to the W, X, Y, and Z. And then, so right here, this guy is a Z, right? And it's being told to increment. So it says, okay, I'll increment to an A, and then it tells its buddy over here to increment. And then this guy goes, ooh, I'm a Z, so I need to set myself to an A and tell my buddy next door to increment. So it does that, and it gets AAO. So that's basically how the system works. And now, let's make sure that it actually does work, right? So, if we go over here to my handy-dandy MD5 hash generator, if I type in hi, I can find out that this is the hash for hi, right? If I go over here, run MD5, and I enter my hash, it'll end up pretty rapidly, you saw, outputting hi. And if we continue on with that a little bit, let's make it a little bit longer, say hello maybe. I'm not sure how long this one will take. I might end up having to speed up the video if it takes too long, but let's set this up to whatever it needs to be. Set it to 8. That's a nice good number. And of course MD5 is our hash type, and that's our hash. And as you see here, it's going through a bunch of them. It's actually going through them pretty fast. It would go through them faster if we weren't printing all of these out, but I wanted to do that for the sense of showing it how it works. So this has to end up getting around to an L, but that's going to take a second, so I'm going to stop it and get rid of this, comment that line out, run it again, MD5, my hash, and give it a couple of seconds here, and it will finally figure out that hello equals that. And as you see, that was pretty quick, right? Of course, my character set is kind of small, only A through Z lowercase, but I could include this to have, like, capital A, for example. And now, if I go down here and uncomment this out, just enter in a J, you can see that somewhere along the line here, see, right after my Z, I went capital A. and it continues working, continues doing everything it needs to do. And you can make your character set as large or as small as you want it. The larger you make it, the slower it's going to be because it has more opportunities that it has to brute force through. But you can still do it. So that's basically how it works. In the next episode, we're going to add a couple of extra kind of cool features, I think, that just polish the program up a little bit, and then we're going to call it a day after that. This has been Pasta Coding. I'm out. Peace.